Hi, welcome back to another review of a classic at Reviews with Rashmi. Pick one. Would you rather be replaceable or irreplaceable? Selfless or selfish? Get off the train before it enters the tunnel or wait for the train to pass through the tunnel? Be an oppressor or be oppressed? Be 20-year-old or 80-year-old? You might have realized that in some situations you wanted to choose none, while in some you wanted to choose both according to the situation. The book that I am reviewing today talks about this very feeling, ethical dilemmas and also identity crisis. The author of the book is a professor of neurology and psychiatry, Viktor E. Frankl. And when 12 million copies of his book were sold, he was asked, "How do you feel? आप कैसा महसूस करते हैं?" And he said, millions of people are living a life they don't know the purpose of. They are in search of a meaning. What am I supposed to feel? Happy? The book is Man's Search for Meaning. It says that the author wrote this book to convey that life has meaning, suffering has meaning. Any individual can overcome his or her misery provided he knows why am I going through that misery. It's like if I have to restore faith in any individual, I have to tell him why he is in this particular situation at this given point in time. Let's take an example. The biggest or the one of the toughest misery of our life is losing a loved one. A situation is given in this book. It says that when you lose your loved one, you feel a lot of pain and you cannot really do anything about it. If I tell you that would you want your loved one to feel the pain that you are going through right now? Your answer would be no. I would like to take it on me rather than my loved one, my dear one, feel this pain. How about thinking that you are saving the person you love from feeling this pain by you enduring it? Now, I am not taking you away by saying this from the misery that you are in, but I'm associating a meaning to why you are in that misery. And that might give you the strength, the courage, the relief to go through that pain because you are happy that you are saving your loved one from it. Let's take another example which is mentioned in the book. We all know that animals are tested millions of times before a particular vaccine is being given to us. Can that particular ape who's been injected again and again and again for, say, a poliomyelitis serum understand why it is being injected again and again? No. Why? because it does not have that level of intelligence. Can I say that the animal cannot understand the human world which is above it? So is it possible that the human have another world above it for which we are going through that suffering, but even we, just like apes, have limited intelligence to understand the purpose of being injected again and again and again and having to go through multiple miseries? And thus we say that during misery, we take time to grow our inner strength and to grow spiritually, to understand a world that is beyond the human world. Now, when all this is being said, this suffering, the difficulty, is definitely for us to grow. But how do you associate a meaning for it? In the middle of the concentration camp where this author was, how will you say that it does have a meaning? Suffering can do two things to us. One, it can make us saintly, or it can make us satanic. The author says that no matter how miserable our life becomes, no matter the fact that we were in the concentration camp, we had this choice whether to hold our values, our principles, live with dignity and character, or become devilish, become satanic. Now, how do you uphold your values, your principles, and everything and still find meaning? Convert your tragedy into victory. We all know the story, the life of Arunima Sinha, the double amputee, who got operated without anesthesia when she was met with an accident where she lost both her legs, yet chose to climb not just Mount Everest but every peak that she came across. Indeed an inspiration for us. Okay. Now one more understanding from this book that we can take is, would you like to be replaceable or irreplaceable? Irreplaceable. Is every individual unique? Yes. Is every individual's destiny unique? Yes. Then every individual's role is also different. If your role is different than my role, then that is exactly what will make you irreplaceable. Because if our roles are same, whether you do or I do may not matter. Now, this great thing of being irreplaceable in someone's life, in society, also brings to us a responsibility that we have been assigned a task. And before we resign from this job of being a steward or a vicegerent, the intellectual creature on this planet, we need to perform all the tasks assigned to us, because what is assigned to me cannot be done by anyone else. And if you know that you have a task which is unfinished, you have someone waiting for you at home with right? And thus, whether in suffering, whether not in suffering, our life does hold a meaning. But the sad part is, there are two things which the author has highlighted here. One is, we associate an individual's life with his job, his career, his accomplishments, his achievements. And what we do is, individual, no job, no accomplishments, useless. And that's why when I ask you, would you rather be a 20-year-old or an 80-year-old? We pick 20-year-old. Why? Because we have the possibilities, because we have the ability, the potential to perform many roles, and an 80-year-old not contributing to the society apparently is socially useless. Think of the time right now. If I draw parallels from the author's life in concentration camp to our life today, we'll notice some similarities at least. Many miseries, people living in hunger, no shelter, they don't know till when they are alive, deaths everywhere, every day, every hour. And we are here with a provisional existence, which means we are here for a limited time period, just like the people in that concentration camp were living as prisoners. Even the author, Viktor Frankl, although being a doctor, a professor, had only one identity: prisoner. Just like we today, when we take away our jobs, our careers, all our laurels and awards, we are individuals and we are facing the identity crisis. Many of us. And this brings the unhappiness, the maladjustment in picture. But the 80-year-old has all the dreams accomplished, realized. She has experienced love. And what we have is possibilities. What may happen, what may not happen. Who would envy whom now? Does that mean that our life cannot be made better? No, there's a catch here. We have a possibility, a decision to be made to make our life saintly. We have the possibility to lead a better life. We can do that in three ways. One is by changing our attitude towards our misery. Second is by finding out a work, creating a work that only we can do, a deed. And third is by experiencing something or someone. It can be as abstract as love. Now, if we talk about the life in concentration camp or our lives today, we might think, is this situation going to have any meaning in my life? Why do I have to go through this? Let's take an example of a puzzle and of a movie. When you watch a movie or when you try to solve a jigsaw puzzle, when do you understand the meaning of the movie or what the picture is in the puzzle? At the start or at the end? At the end. And that's what your life is. A movie, a puzzle, a sport, which you'll understand only at the end, when you have lived your life. But does that mean that I can take one picture out from the reel, or I can take one puzzle out from the puzzle game and just throw it away? How does it matter? The complete puzzle matters, right? Every situation, every puzzle, every picture contributes to the complete meaning of our life. Right? Now, the most dreadful thing in the mind of a human being is death. Let's change our perspective today towards it. If I tell you that, say you are in 6th grade and after a few months of school I tell you that, listen, this academic year you are not going to have your exam. You'll be maybe promoted to the next level. Will you study as hard as you would if you had an exam? No, that's not a student tendency, right? Okay, if I tell you that, hey, you are not going to die. Your life is forever. You are immortal. Will you set goals for yourself? By 30 I want to accomplish this. By 40 I want to accomplish this. Will you do that? You'll be like, how does it matter? I'm here forever. It's my life. It's my world. I can do anything I want whenever I want. I will, as a human tendency, have a habit of delaying. But because I am here with a provisional existence of an unknown limit, I don't know for how many years I am here. I have this urge, this desire, this ambition to make something out of my life larger than what I am. So your death is like your exam. You have to conquer it so that you can go to the next level, to the higher level. But in the meantime, you got to improve. You got to be a better person. You got to accomplish your goals. Now, the one beautiful thing that the author has written in the book, which I would like to say and conclude my review, is all of us, or most of us, have the facilities to survive in this life. We are grateful for that. We have the means to live in this life. What we don't have is the meaning to live for in this life. Why am I living? And the author has done a beautiful job in explaining that to us. I would like to conclude by two important lessons of this book. No man should judge another if he asks himself or herself, honestly, will I do the same thing that he or she did in this particular situation? Your answer will tell you that we should not be judgmental. And second thing is, since the time of this concentration camp, the Auschwitz camp, we know what we are capable of. But also, from the times of Hiroshima, we know what we are putting at stake. This is one of the powerful and the most important book which we all should read. If you have read this book, please leave your comments in the comment section. And if you like this video, do share it with your friends. Thank you. Take care. Bye.